I was working on a Bioshock video, but I've grown a bit sick of it, so let's take a look at every Need for Speed game currently playable on the PS Vita. To start, we got NFS 1 through Porsche Unleashed, so that's NFS 1, 2, 3 Hot Pursuit, High Stakes, and of course Porsche Unleashed. These games are not available in the PS Vita store, however the Vita can emulate them all just fine since they're PS1 games. So far that's 5 games available, not a bad start. We skip over Hot Pursuit 2 and we can kind of play Underground, but that's because it has a GBA port which the Vita can emulate. The base game though is unplayable. Now NFS Underground 2 through Shift all have PSP versions, and the Vita can play any of those just fine. However, keep in mind all these PSP versions are pretty much spin-off versions and aren't actually the full games on the go, which can be a bit rough since these versions all range in quality pretty heavily. Instead of NFS Most Wanted, you have Most Wanted 510. Instead of NFS Underground 2, you have NFS Underground Rivals. I'm not saying all these games are bad, I'm just saying if you were hoping to play the one-to-one console versions of these games just on the go, which the PS Vita did get at times, then you're out of luck. Still though, that's 6 different games available in the NFS series alone, and there definitely is quality within them. Now some of these games have GBA ports, and while the PS Vita can easily run those too, it's up to you yourself if you prefer those despite the PSP versions being available. As for the DS versions, there is an interesting factor to discuss. DS emulation on PS Vita is currently in its very early stages, but it has made some really good progress in the past couple of months. It's still far from usable, but one day within a reasonable amount of time in the future, the DS versions of these games might be playable on the Vita. This would also allow something like NFS Nitro to be playable on the Vita too. Yeah, it's obviously not the Wii version, but it still counts for this video. As of now, we can only wait and see as time progresses. Finally, we enter the more modern age of NFS with Hot Pursuit 2010. Now unfortunately the main game isn't here, which sucks, as I think it could have worked on the Vita quite well. However, about a year ago the mobile version of HP 2010 was ported over, which actually is a very welcome surprise. Yeah, it's obviously a heavily stripped down version compared to the full console game, but I still think it's great that the modding community made this happen. I haven't tried the game myself, but I do believe ports like this breathe way more life into the PS Vita than one might think. So even though it's not the same as the home console and PC versions, I'm still really glad this port exists and is playable on here. There's a charm to this that just makes me grin. Tragically, we skip over NFS The Run, which I think could have made a fun Vita game too. There was a mobile version planned to release, but it was tragically cancelled. You can bet your ass that if it did exist, there would be attempts to port the game over. Finally, we jump to the crown jewel of NFS on the PS Vita with Most Wanted 2012. As far as I can tell, this is the full console game, but on the PS Vita on the go, with only some graphical cutbacks, which while noticeable, are still very reasonable. This is my favorite Need for Speed ever, and it's also a great Vita port because of how well it runs and how good it holds up compared to the home console versions. It captures what the Vita was going for with its game library and allows you to play a good version of, in my opinion, a very fun game. If you have a Vita, check it out. The story of NFS on the Vita might not actually end there, believe it or not. Obviously, the Vita couldn't run Rivals or anything beyond that due to hardware limitations, but I forgot that NFS No Limits existed. This is an Android-specific version of NFS, and if you look at the list of Android games playable on the PS Vita, that's the same list I mentioned in the last video, we can see that No Limits is theoretically playable. And while no one's working on it at the moment, I still think it would be great to have this game on the Vita, as it seems like it could be really fun on there. Like I said, it's a shame we couldn't see Hot Pursuit 2010 or The Run on here. The Vita handles Most Wanted 2012, so yeah, those games definitely could have worked on it. The 3DS got a version of The Run, but it was pretty stripped back, of course. It'd be a clear win for the Vita if it not only had the full game of The Run, but Hot Pursuit 2010, on top of already having Most Wanted. I mean, granted, it wouldn't have saved the system, but it would have been nice. I can kind of understand not porting over the more classic NFS games like Underground and Most Wanted 2005, as those did have PSP versions playable on the Vita, even if the quality varied heavily. Sony and EA probably figured those were good enough for the time being. In total, the Vita has 14 playable NFS games on it, which is not bad as it gives you a good amount of variety. Hopefully it's 15 once or if No Limits gets ported over. Only time will tell.